What's up, guys? Back again for another Fusion format deck profile. I know it's been a couple days longer than I said it would be. Got a little caught up with life here, but I'd like to get into our next deck here. This one, I think, is probably my best deck. It is quite consistent. It's beat most decks I've played it against. It's a slow game, but it's a lot of fun. And that is Retribution Kid Buu. This Kid Buu is just a promotional card. It's the only level 1 Kid Buu in the game. But what you use actually is just the level 1 Majin Buu. But we'll get into that in a second. This deck here runs Retribution Mastery. At this point, everyone's familiar with this mastery. It's incredible to the point where probably not fair. But just as a quick recap, at the start of your opponent's first turn, search your life deck for a styled non-infinite drill and place it into play. That's huge right out of the gate. Get one of your defense shields or things like that right out of the door. Whenever your MP changes level, shuffle all drills you control back into their owner's life deck instead of discarding them. That way you don't lose any of that stuff. It's huge. Power, next styled attack you perform this combat has its power stage cost reduced to 0. That's good by itself. But raise your anger up to 2 levels. If your MP changed levels this combat, search your life deck for a drill and place it into play. So sitting on 3 anger, use this power to hop a level, then shuffle all your drills into your deck, then go search your deck for a drill, bring it back into play. It's a huge mastery. It does so many things. Very, very good. Getting into the actual MP stack with this deck, it is Majin Buu. It does eventually become Kid Buu here, but Majin Buu is crazy good. His power level is huge, so he bests things like a physical beats Broly deck or something like that, where they run those kind of cards that are, if your power level is higher than the defending player, do X or Y or Z. They don't really get to do much of that against this deck. That's a huge benefit for this deck. Even at your lowest level, especially as you start 2 level, you're normally a couple of brackets higher than most people. This one here, you cap out at 4-5, power up rating at 2, which is good for level 1. Physical attack doing +3 stages, gain 5 stages, which is awesome. If stop, draw a card. So this is a great power. You can throw it first thing, enter, boost power. That's not even a bad move, which you can't say for a ton of MP powers. So this is a great level, but you want to get up into the Kid Buu stuff pretty quickly, which Retribution will let you do. Level 2, you're going to hop right up to 8.3, which is almost double immediately. This here says this title is Majin Buu Kid Buu, so you can still use all the Majin Buu named stuff. But it's a focused physical attack, doing +4 stages of damage. If successful, search your life deck for a drill, place it into play. That's going to be huge with the mastery. The whole deck, the whole objective of this deck is to get a big wall of drills out and just start, laying waste to people. Kid Buu, Majin Buu, level 3, 9.6. You're up even higher. Power up rating of 4. Still counts as a Majin Buu card. It is a focused physical attack, does +5 stages of damage. If successful during one of your attacker attacks phases this combat, remove any amount of cards from any player's discard pile. For each card removed, gain 1 power stage. This power is awesome. If you're, at 3 power stages above 0, remove 7 cards from your opponent's discard pile to power up to full. That's very, very good. Kid Buu Majin Buu level 4, up to 11.2. Lowest is 10.9, which means your absolute lowest is going to be F. You're going to be in the top bracket as long as you're not at 0, which is impressive. Power up rating is 6. Focused energy attack, plus X stages of damage, where X is the base damage from the physical attack table. So that's really cool, especially since you're sitting in... Cat. Since you're sitting in F the whole time. Sorry about that. My cat is wanting to play with some variety of fuzz. Anyway, this attack costs 0 stages to perform and lowers your opponent's anger too. All in all, great card. Does a lot of things. Good level. If you get up to this level 5 here, I put it in the deck sometimes. Other times, it is nice to have just the level 4. But you can go up to 15 million. Huge again. Power up rating at 8. First attack you perform each combat with a martial arts styled card can't be stopped. If you do get to this level somehow, if you've been stopped from winning by MPPV, which this deck will not stop you from doing, but another effect may do. If that were the case, and you do happen to get to this level, that is a huge ability to be able to throw those attacks. Then here we're just back to that level 1 promo Kid Buu. I just like it. Everything's a question mark. It is worth 10 Capsule Corp credits, which back in the day you could send in to get lanyards and silly things like that. First off, just because there's only a couple, we'll go into the combat cards, the events in this deck. There's only 2. Majin Buu's Invincibility. This can only be used by Majin Buu, but you do use it during your attacker attacks phase or your defender defense phase. Prevent all damage from all attacks performed against you this combat. Limit 1 per deck. This card is amazing. It's great. It's not quite time or something because it doesn't stop the attacks, but it prevents all the damage. So that's huge, and it's nice to have this in addition to a time. It's a big benefit. Plus, with this deck, there are a lot of cards that let you go search out Majin Buu name cards for your discard pile and things like that, so you can continue to play through this card. And then lastly, for the combat's events, we've got Majin Buu's Loogie. This one's a promo. If your opponent has a physical combat, energy combat, or combat card in play that can be used an additional time this combat, discard the top 10 cards of your opponent's deck. This is a situational card, in that some people will never have that situation come up. That being said, there are a ton of cards that gain remain or stay in play to be used an additional time natively, and a lot of times those see a lot of play because you gotta do 2 attacks with 1 card. So this is a great card to have around because that stuff does show up quite a bit. Great card, great combo, 2 very good events. Non-combats and drills, that's going to be our big focus in this deck. We'll do a couple of non-combats first. The 1 copy of Visiting the Past that we are allowed to use in Fusion format. This card is great. Lets you search your discard pile for a card, put it into your hand. It's just huge. Good for setting your turns back up. This too shall pass. Recently unbanned. Stop the effects of any non-Dragon Ball card and remove the card from the game. You use this at any time. Incredible clutch card. Great to have around. And Awful Abrasions. This is a card I've mentioned before, but should realistically have a place in most decks. Placed on your opponent's main personality, they lower their anger to 0 and can't raise their anger until they play a Dragon Ball in play. Discard this card when your opponent plays a Dragon Ball. There are a lot of decks that don't have Dragon Balls at all. And if they do, it's, 1 copy. It's just 1 Earth Dragon Ball 3 or something like that, just as a situational draw some more cards kind of card. Unless you're playing against a Dragon Ball deck, this card is phenomenal. The drills, though, is where this deck is really going to start to show off. Orange Steady Drill stops the first energy attack performed against you that was unstopped. Great card. Very good turn 1 play with your Retribution Mastery to go find this. Or Burning Aura Drill stops the first physical attack. You got your physical or your energy one here. These are both great, and depending on what deck you're playing against, they'll both be huge. You'll want to see them both out. Orange Aura Drill is another phenomenal card. Energy attacks, 2+2 life cards of damage. This deck's going to be throwing a lot of energies, a lot of big attacks, and having them do an extra couple life cards of damage is awesome. Orange Checkup Drill is phenomenal. They did errata this fairly recently to be, if it hasn't been played already this combat. But when this drill enters play during combat, search your life deck for a styled defense card and place it into your hand. Your attacks do an extra stage of damage, and then use at the end of combat, Rejuvenate 2 for your power. Very, very, very good. If you use your Retribution Mastery to level, search this card out, then you grab something like Orange Refocus, and that's a physical block that lets you search your discard pile for a drill. You can really start to sort of recoup through some of the losses to your drills and things like that. In this deck, your opponent will want to be getting rid of your drills because they all do something pretty substantial to your overall goal with this deck. So having things like this that you can combo through with your mastery and your other defense cards is gonna be huge. Orange Crying Drill is great. Shuffle it into your deck from play as an action to gain 3 stages. That's a good ability. Power Raise Your Anger 1. It's just a nice drill, nice way to speed through your levels. If you use this and your mastery, you're gaining at least 3 a turn. It's a good card. Probably your weakest drill, I'd say, but not bad by any means. Here's a very good drill, Orange Discharge drill, not Energy Discharge, different card, sorry. The text here says that it doesn't count as a styled card, so you could play these in like a black deck or something like that. There was one of each color. But the real effect of this drill is your attacks do +2 stages of damage, and your main personality's power rating is +2. So Boo, with his already high power rate, you're going to be going up, 8 stages a turn or 6 stages a turn, and that's all huge. That's very good. Orange Spontaneous Drill. Draw a card from the bottom of your discard pile after suffering a successful physical attack. I believe this has been updated to be just once per turn. That being said, this card is awesome. Just, I took an attack. That's fine. I'll go get a card from my discard pile. And if you played something like Majin Buu's Invincibility that we talked about earlier, you've prevented the damage from the attack. It is still successful, so this card still triggers. It's very good. Then Orange Halting Drill, another crazy good staple orange drill. All successful physical attacks performed against you do a maximum of 3 stages of damage, limit 1 per deck. Just huge. Playing against, like I said before, something like a Broly deck where they're expecting to do 10, 12, 15 stage physicals on a pretty regular basis. This is awesome. It takes us through all of the drills in the package here, and now we will get into the attacks in the deck. We'll start off with the physicals. We've got Orange Carnage. We're going to run 2 of this. It is an Endurance 2, which is great. Focus physical attack, does +3 stages of damage. Discard up to 4 of your opponent's allies in play. Lower your opponent's anger 2. This is a awesome card. Attack against allies. There are quite a few ally decks that go around, so this is a nice card to have. Plus, with Boo and your additional drills and things, there's a lot of times that this attack is a physical attack doing plus, 6 or 7 stages, plus whatever the attack table is. It's big attack, big card. Majin Buu's Backstabbing Kick, we're going to run 2 of. Majin Buu only, also Kid Buu, as we talked about earlier. Physical attack does +5 stages of damage, lower opponent's anger 2. If successful, shuffle 4 Majin Buu name cards in your discard pile into your life deck. This is that card I was talking about that helps you go get your Buu's Invincibility and things like that back. Great card, good to run 2 of. Majin Hair Pull. This card is crazy good. Physical attack +3 stages for each anger you are above 0. There's a lot of times that this is a 12-stage physical attack. Awesome. Just vanilla, doesn't do anything else, just simple common. Awesome card. I like it a lot. Majin Buu's Heel Kick has endurance as well. Physical attack does +4 stages of damage. Remove 5 cards in your opponent's discard pile from the game, and then gain 3 stages. Great card. Attacks that raise your stages is always good. Plus being able to remove some cards in your opponent's discard pile is good. We're going to run 3 of that. 3 Majin Buu's Bicycle Kick. It does +5 stages of damage. If successful, lower your opponent's anger 2, and if they are at 0 anger, lower their personality 1 level. This card is awesome and really hurts real bad if someone were to get hit with it late game. We're going to run 3 of that as well. Here's that card Orange Refocus I had mentioned earlier. Endurance 1, stops physical attack, raise your anger 1, and search your discard pile for a drill and put it into play. Awesome block, does a lot, gets you a drill back. Any one of those drills that we talked about would be a great card to grab at really any given moment. 3 of that as well. Orange Strength is one of my favorite orange attacks. Endurance 2, very good. Physical attack doing +2 stages, then raise your main personality to their highest stage. Just simple, good, great card overall. I like to run 3 of that as well. And lastly here, we've got 3 Orange Sidestep. Stop a physical attack, raise your anger 1. Again, very simple, does its job, raises your anger. Helps you power through to those higher level Boo cards. And lastly, we'll talk about the energies in this deck. Orange Power Point, 3 Endurance, cost 2 stages, 6 life cards, search your life deck for a drill, put it into play. Again, just get your drills out as quick as you can, build that wall up, and start throwing them. It's the way to do it with this deck. We're going to run 2 of these. Orange Fierce Attack, energy attack costs 1 stage, 2 Endurance again. A lot of Endurance in this deck. Damage from your styled energy attacks can't be prevented this combat. Damage 4 life cards, raise your anger 2, lower your opponent 2. Good card. Great Endurance. Helps with throwing some of your bigger attacks later and gets you some anger. I'm just going to run 2 of that one too. Kid Boo's Prep Crash. We're going to run 2 of this. Focused Energy Attack. Empower 2. If successful, choose a player and remove his discard pile from the game. Stupid good. Raise your anger 1. It has Empower 2, so if they don't have much of a discard pile, you can just add extra damage onto the attack. Great card. 2 of that. My favorite card in the game, Orange Energy Concentration. Love this card. Love the art. Love the foil. Endurance 2. Awesome. Energy attack. 4 life cards. Cost 3 stages to perform. If successful and you declare it a Tukiwaza, or just all the time now because of fusion rules, your opponent discards a card from their hand. This is essentially if Orange got to borrow a black style attack, and I love it. I'm going to run 2 of those. Orange Energy Break. Endurance 1, energy attack, doing 5 life cards. For the remainder of combat, you don't discard drills when you advance a personality level. That is not huge with your deck specifically, because of the mastery allows that anyway, but there are a lot of cards that, especially in Seihin and things like that, that will prevent you from using your mastery. So this is a nice card to have if for some reason you were to get hit with that situation. We're only going to run 2 of it though. It is just an energy attack doing 5 life cards if that second part of the effect is not utilized. So just having 2 of that is nice. It's a good little tech card, nice to have. Orange Dismissal, great energy block. Shuffle a drill you control in your owner's life deck. If you do, search your life deck for a drill and play it. Sorry, making too many words out of that one. This card's awesome. If you've had Orange Checkup Drill, for example, in play longer than a turn, shuffle Orange Checkup Drill back into your deck, go get it back again, and get another block. Just awesome card. 3 of that. 3 good energy blocks. Orange Rage, Endurance again, energy attack costs 2, damage 5, raise your anger 2. Just speed through those levels. At the end of the day, this is a deck that throws a lot of big attacks, but it is still kind of an MPPV deck as well. So being able to gain that anger real fast is huge. Orange Eruption, another card that runs off of the same kind of thing Orange Rage does. Cost a stage, raise your anger 2, lower your opponent's anger 2, 2 life cards. Not a big attack, raises your anger 2. Great card, 3 of it. Majin Buu's Energy Spray. This is another cool Majin card. Energy attack, doing 5 life cards of damage. Raise your anger 2 levels. If successful, choose a Majin-only energy combat card in your discard pile and place it into your hand. It's nice to be able to go find some of those other Buu-style attacks. Buu-style. Majin-style attacks, and this is a cool card. I run 3 of it in here. Having more Buu-named cards is good too for some of those other effects. And lastly, Orange Energy Absorption. Energy block with an Endurance. Gain 5 stages, raise your anger 1. 3 of that. Great card. Again, does what it should and helps the deck with both of its win conditions there. In terms of a Sensei or things like that, that is sort of up to you with this deck. I personally use East Kai Sensei, just the once per game. You can raise any personality. Oh, I guess it's your main personality. Once per game during any non-combat, raise your main personality to its highest power stage. This is nice if you're going into a combat and you, for some reason, got pushed to a really low level, or pushed to 0 or something last turn. Your opponent enters on you. This is a great card to be able to be like, okay, they've got a big hand. I bet they're going to enter. I'm going to raise to full real quick. This is great. I do really like East Kai Sensei, or not East Kai Sensei, this is one, Supreme Kai Sensei. We talked about that in the Frieza deck, where you get to go search for 5 styled cards in your discard pile. That is a awesome sensei and is really kind of proven to be one of my favorites. You could always run like Master Roshi Sensei too, where all your attacks do the extra damage and your opponent's attacks do less damage. That's a great sensei, but being it's an ultra rare, it's one that I don't have. And again, I'm still trying to do all this without proxies. Overall though, this deck really lays the smackdown with its attacks. The drill wall helps a lot. It is a very slow game, and it's kind of meticulous in what you do. A lot of the cards give you the option of go find a drill or go do this or that, and you'll find as you play it more that there are certain situations where grabbing this or that is what you do. Like I said with the mastery, one of my favorite drills to grab is checkup drill, and then use that to grab refocus, which you use to get a discarded drill back. That's a combo I love. But at the same time, if you know you're on a low hand, at the time you use your mastery and your opponent still has a few cards left in hand, grabbing something like halting drill might be good, so that they only do 3 stages of damage with each of their attacks. That can really be a nice sort of defensive buffer for you as well. In terms of things it's weak against, I'd say a deck that moves a little faster than it. Things like maybe like a red MPPV deck might be just too quick for it. But if you're in the kind of game that is more of a combat-oriented match, this deck should handle itself well. It is orange, is Retribution, so it does do a lot with the mastery, does MPPV pretty well on its own. Overall, it's, like I said, it's probably my most cohesive deck, probably my best, in very deliberate air quotes there. I think it loses the least often and has probably the best win ratio of any of my decks. For me, personally, it's not the most fun, because it kind of just runs itself. You play a card, you go find a drill, you use that drill to make your next attack bigger, your next attack can't be stopped because of Boo's ability. It just sort of all works really well together. And that being said, as weird as it sounds, that's not necessarily my favorite playstyle. I like more of the kind of gimmicky silliness that you can get out of some of the other decks. It's one of the things I love about Fusion, is that there are so many types of deck you can play. But won't keep anyone any longer here. If you have anything you want to see specifically, let me know. In the description for this video, I'll post a list of the decks that I have built. If anyone wants to comment on what they'd like to see spoken about next, I can definitely make that happen. I've got one in mind for the next video here, but if someone wants something else, I'm totally open to that as well. I do want to get into doing one of the, I've got a deck built for the Fusion GT format that I want to talk about a little bit, but in terms of just strictly regular Fusion here, I've got, I think, like 14 decks or something built. So we've got plenty of video here to discuss. Well, again, like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate your support, and I'll be back with the next one as soon as I can. Thanks.